So we come to the last distinguished lecture of this 3-day conference, and the person who is going to speak is someone I admire tremendously and am very inspired by, Acharya Muneet Dhiman, who is the Kulapati of Vidyakshetra Gurukulam in Bengaluru. So there is a bio that I'm going to read out, but from my own side I want to say that a lot of things changed for me after I visited their Gurukulam. I had the sense of loss, that we have lost this educational heritage and it's never going to come back. But one by one, the faith started getting restored, and visiting his Gurukula was one of those experiences where I saw the children who are studying under this ancient pedagogy which has been modified for modern times, but still retaining the tradition, retaining all that flavor, and how the students studying in this system are doing so well. And I'm one of those people waiting eagerly to see what these students will do later in life when they enter different professions. How are they going to take these values and become those wonderful citizens that we want to see in today's world. So Muneet Dhiman is an educationist and a speaker on the subject matter of education, parenting, sustainability, and system design. He is the founder and Kulapati of Vidyakshetra Gurukulam, which is a non-residential Gurukulam. It was built over last 12 years, and his vision is to replicate the Vidyakshetra model across 108 centers in Bharat and subsequently across the globe. His passion is being with the students, teaching them math, physics, civilizational studies, itihasa, and Bharatiya Jivan Drishti, the most important thing. He also heads the Acharya Nirman program for the Punarutthan Vidyapeeth, a 5-year teacher training program for the Gurukulam method of education. Currently, over 60 participants of varying ages all over the world are participating in this program. He holds an engineering degree in computer science from Delhi Technological University. He's actually my junior in the same university. But I didn't know him at that time. And I was, of course, he wasn't even there when I was studying. And he has worked with the IT industry for more than 15 years, during which he has held various management roles, including heading continental Europe for an IT services company. So looking forward to listening to Muneet ji.
Sana ji is very generous for a very young and I would say still in progress effort at Vidyakshetra. As she rightly pointed out, I myself am waiting to see what these students will do in future, because there are so many factors that play in when you are with the children, and it's very important also to learn to let go at some point of time, and see what the time has to bring back. So I'm also eagerly waiting to see what these students will do. The senior most students at Vidyakshetra today are 18-year-old. They are with us from last 8 years, and students generally stay with us from the age of 4 till 21. So that's the age group of students who are there. Now, one good thing that has happened, and I saw many questions coming in throughout the 3 days, and Nomesh ji is not there because he had many questions related to implementation. This model is good, this pedagogy is good, but is it implementable? Can we do it now? So there were many questions which he had on implementation. Not only he, but many participants or people who are listening also had. And as it is, Shastras are the ones which lay the foundation and implementation follows. So here also something like that only has happened. Where last 3 days, we had wonderful, topics on scholarly, subjects, and many, Shastric papers were presented. And I am presenting, I would say in some way, the implementation aspect of some of these principles that we have discussed. My desire is to also translate it into a paper. And I would say, I would thank Nagaraj for inspiring and initiating that spirit, because last year itself we had started documenting what we did over last 10, 12, 10, 11 years, because it's important to document, to replicate. And documentation means there has to be some connections drawn to the threadbare. And and this topic, what we are all of us discussing here, led me to already start working on it some months ago. So, but it's a very detailed work to be done, and you will get to know why in the due course of time as I move forward with this presentation. Briefly, so I have a background in engineering and moved with a 15 years of IT experience. I have mostly spent those 15 years outside India. I was heading the Europe for Mindtree. And my life changed when in 2006 I read Bhagavad Gita, and I moved back in 2011 from Europe with family. And since then, this effort is going on. My search in the space of education led me to more than 25 institutions across the country, which includes Gandhiji's institutions, which includes Gurukulas, which includes Juddu Krishnamurtiji's schools, Sri Aurobindo schools, Waldorf schools, Montessori schools, regular schools. And what I realized was, I was very lucky also in this due course of time, in 2012 when I met Indutai, in 2013 Acharya in Bangalore, in Mysore, and Ravindra Sharma ji in 2013. And when, meeting these three amazing people who have given practically their life in the space of Samajik Vyavastha, Ravindra Sharma ji, or Shastrik, Sri Vaishnav Siddhanta, Narayanacharya, and Indutai in the space of education, the Adhyayana started. And that is when, it became very clear that education has to be, soaked in the Bharatiya Samskriti. And the desire was triggered to start something like that, because I didn't find, I found many Vedic institutions, which was amazing, because I always express that gratitude that we still have Vedic institutions in our country. And yesterday we saw such a great example of it. But Vedas and the Gurukulas, which were Vedic, survived because there was some economic infrastructure or vyavastha which was still connected to it. So students who did Vedic studies were able to become an Acharya or a Purohit. But all our other education systems, which Dharampalji also brings forward in his book Beautiful Tree, which were Agraharas, which were Patashalas, Vidyalayas, Vishay Gurukulams, Vidyapithas, Vishwavidyalayas, those systems all collapsed, because our mainstream economic system and Samaj Vyavastha changed. And it's very natural that, if your education is not meeting, the need of the society, then there is a disconnect over there. And due course of time, over the last 200 years, we lost those educational institutions. So our aim at Vidyakshetra is to reconstruct the education model of the day Gurukulams that was there. So if somebody says that, so we will go back in time, I say, no, don't go back in time. Let us discuss the impact and value and not about the time. Don't you want your son or daughter to have Shraddha? Yes. Then that is the Gurukulam, method. Don't you want him or her to, have Ekagrata? Yes. So let us understand the impact, what was achieved by that methodology, and then let us, see what is the need of the hour. So that is what triggered to create this Bharatiya Shiksha model. I will just slowly, these all points will get covered. I won't spend much time on this slide, because we all are, we all understand the Sanatana Dharma principles, yet it was important to document, what it means, because today everything and anything we can put under the Sanatana Dharma and Dharma. But what is most important is to simplify it for the acharyas, for the parents, for the students. Because the more you simplify, the easier it is to adopt and understand. And that is where, we listed down these points where the Sthiti and the Gati framework, or the 4 Purusharthas that our country have, Karma Siddhanta, where, we do karma out of, Bhaya, Asakti, Kartavya or Raga, and where the Dharma stays, the Rina framework, Vyavahara and the Paramartha framework, and the Samskriti and the Samruddhi framework. I was talking yesterday about some of these. So these are some very important sacred principles that while we are developing our lesson plans at Vidyakshetra, while we are doing our prasikshana, we try to stay as close as possible to these points. And, because otherwise we can, lose our track. So Panchakosha framework, again, I won't spend time. We have heard enough on this. On the framework point, I will draw some connections later. Let me establish first certain points, where I am taking all of us in this discussion. So at Vidyakshetra, our research has been on designing the curriculum, designing the methodology, the assessment frameworks, and the infrastructure based on the Panchakoshas. So over last 12 years, that has been our effort. Now, this is my premise of today's talk. I will see if I am able to bring all of us to that conclusion towards the end of this talk. See, yesterday somebody spoke about, in the audience, somebody spoke about the 4 Antahakarana. So we have to understand that there has been a certain shift that the whole world has seen in our samajik vyavasthas, in our arthik vyavasthas, in our rajya vyavasthas, in our shiksha vyavasthas. And we are trying to analyze 2 things. One is that, what was the Siddhanta, what were the models that were existing in our country traditionally, and then immediately we jump or have the tendency to jump into the current context and say, "Arey, ye to possible nahi hai." So I think this has to be separated. First is to study what was there in its own merit. And that's what Nagaraji has been alluding to since 3 days. That, let us discuss not about the implementation of it today, but let us understand what was there. Because that's very, very important principle to have. And then the second thing is, okay, what is possible to bring today? And the third step is, what is possible for us to do? So there are 3 steps in which we need to deal with this whole situation. If we keep bringing what is possible today or what is, my possibilities onto the traditional frameworks, then we will always keep throwing the baby with the bathtub, what we say. ये तो नहीं possible है. तो हम समझने की भी कोशिश नहीं करते. So that is very, very important point. So this is one important point to understand, that Bharat as any society or samaja is a sum total of its people. It's very easy to understand. And there is a chitti, what we say, the chitta of the people is what is the samskaras, or the sum total of that person's, the whole, what is that being. And that sum total together also gives that whole country its sum total. So like that, Bharat used to be a place where most of the people living in the country were situated in their Vijnanamaya Kosha. I will come to it as we proceed in my discussion. And Vijnanamaya Kosha is where the Dharma resides. That's the place where the understanding of the Purushartha lies. And that is how, everybody dealt, whether it was the samashti, the srishti, the vyashti, or the parmeshti aspect, the whole interaction in the society, in the family, whether it was the kutumba, which was the smallest social unit, or whether it was the village, which was the smallest economic unit, what did we mean by these points traditionally? We should understand. Very, very fundamental point to know, because, until unless we don't understand these points, that how a kutumb was the smallest social unit and not the individual, and how the whole village was the smallest economic unit and not the individual, we cannot understand, these, complex, now seemingly complex frameworks. Otherwise, very simple to understand frameworks. So this shift has happened to a large extent, but is also, as I talk, we are in the process of seeing or experiencing this shift, that the whole Bharat Bhumi is moving from being Vijnanamay course situated to being Manomay course situated. Now, what's the nature of, Vijnanamay? I've just tried to mention here. It's more relationship centric. It is interdependent, and Manomay course is, and we will soon see why, it is more self-centered by nature. So the risk is, if it is not managed, because the moment, you're off Vijnanamay Kosha and in Manomay Kosha, your mana, which is a very powerful force, as Arjuna is acknowledging in Bhagavad Gita, is not being led by the intelligence. And that is, we are seeing around us, in health issues that we are facing, the social issues that we are facing, the environmental issues that we are facing, the relationship issues that we are facing, the economic issues that we are facing. So the whole, the reason why these issues we are facing is because we are driven more by the mana rather than the viveka, the vijnana part. Now, let me just spend next few minutes to share what we have done at Vidyakshetra, so that, you have the context when I bring the philosophical part little later. So these are 24 subjects that that students learn. Pardon the little formatting issue. I tried fixing, but in that laptop I'm not able to. So these are 24 subjects, Vishayas, that Vidyakshetra students learn. Now, there is a lot of thought which has gone behind it. And this is completely drawn from the pedagogical principles that were applied in our country traditionally. If you see, 64 kalas and 14 vidyas were there. We are not capable, or at least at present able to do all those at Vidyakshetra. So there is Sanskrit that students learn. The Jnana, Kriya and Ichcha framework, if we see, is the Vedic framework. It is not that we have done. Our Vedas are divided into 3 parts: the Karma Kanda, the Jnana Kanda, and the Upasana Kanda. It's the same framework that I have tried to bring over here. And so this is the Jnana, Ichcha, Kriya framework of our Vedas. So Sanskrit, at Vidyakshetra students, we have 3 Acharyas. We are very fortunate to have one of the best Acharyas in Bangalore, who teaches Vyakarana to children. Our desire is that by the age of 16, students should be able to learn Vyakarana, and their base in Sanskrit should be very solid, so that later, if the student from 16 to 21 wants to go for Nritya, then can understand the Natya Shastra, or the Yoga Sutra, or the Ayurveda texts, so related, whatever, or the Nyaya. So later, 16 to 21 is where the students go for a little more detailed study in the Sanskrit area. So there are 4 languages that students learn. Likewise, we have created our own curriculum in maths and science, which is with 250 plus experiments. The whole, by doing these experiments, their current need is addressed. But the curriculum is made by Vidyakshetra. I will give some examples as I proceed further, that what this curriculum means and what is the reason it has been laid out like that. The whole curriculum of our Itihasa and history is made at Vidyakshetra. Not necessarily it's written down by us. So there are people who are experts in that area. Like there is a person called Shivakumar Jivi. He is my very close friend. He has been teaching civilizational studies at Vidyakshetra from a long time. And likewise, we have support of, many people who are good in their understanding of history studies. So students learn these subjects. There are 6 subjects of the hand. The Kriya Shakti, which is agriculture. Every day students do 1 hour of agriculture. Every year we do 1 month of house construction. So we have experts who come and teach house building to students. And with using natural material, we have built houses with limestone, we have built houses, we have built bricks, we have built houses with cup tiles, we have built houses with mangrove tiles, with grass roofing, multi-storied with arches. So over 7-8 years, we have been working on many different types of house constructions. We have handlooms at Vidyakshetra. A small sample has been kept here. These are clothes made at Vidyakshetra on our handlooms. So this is, if you see, this is green, beautiful color, but it's made with pomegranate shell and alum. And this is made with indigo. So students, when they are 6-year-old, they are introduced to frame looms, and they are introduced at 8 years to spindle. Then we have charkhas and we have handlooms on which students work. We have natural dyeing units where students learn natural dyeing also. Likewise, we have yoga and kalari paittu. I am sorry to have clubbed yoga and kalari together. But I understand my error over there. We will, see, the reason it is kept is for students as they are growing, especially at young age. The physical fitness is very, very important. And kalari and yoga gives us that. They also do swimming. So we have pottery at Vidyakshetra and we have woodworking. These are 6 kalas where tabla, flute, sangeeta, Bharatnatyam, painting and theatre. Now the siddhanta over here is, see, many people will say, "Arey, ye to hamare school mein bhi hota hai, isme kya badi baat hai?" First and foremost is, by God's grace, we are lucky to have each of these subjects done by a professional who lives on this kala. Because it takes immense effort to drive home this basic pedagogical principle that maths and science and music and dance and painting are all at the same level. It's not that, maths and science is here and, extracurricular. See the words that we use in our society. The moment you use extracurricular, मतलब student को लगता है ये extra है, main है ही नहीं है. Main course में maths और science है और इंग्लिश है, बाकी एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर चीज़ें हैं. करना है तो करो, नहीं करना है तो नहीं करो. So you have to spend a significant amount of time and effort to with the students, with the parents, to share this point that it is not like that. All these subjects are have to be seen with in fairness. It's in fact most of the time we say that please give kalas more importance. Because at that age of students, when they are young, they need kalas more, and I will come to that why. So this all these subjects, but the main purpose is to actually work on the koshas, and out of the koshas also the Vijnanamaya kosha, because they will be challenged. While all koshas are important, but they will be challenged as they grow to make very tough decisions in their life. And it's the viveka that helps them to take those decisions. So it's very important to work on the koshas and bring to them the understanding of the purusharthas and the dharma. What is the place of it? So just small, I will spend few seconds so that we get a picture of what is happening. Agriculture. This is the handloom part. I just showed you some of this is the house construction piece, the pottery part, the handwork. Students can stitch their own clothes. It was so pleasing when I was going through the Sandipani Muni ashram, seeing the photos over there, and it was so beautiful to see all these activities were learnt in this city by Krishna and Balarama. So yoga and kalari paittu. There is an Acharya from Kerala who comes and teaches at Vidyakshetra from Thrissur. Every month, 1 week, they come, and remaining 3 weeks, there are senior students. In the same way as Gurukula Paddhati used to be there, 2 senior students, they continue that learning with the students, practicing. So this is the music part. The Bharatnatyam is happening, flute, tabla, vocal, Shastriya Sangeet. Painting. So I will come to these all later. This is the geography tours that we do. Our geography whole curriculum is built on going to that place. So some of the work of the students, this is done without scale and compass. It is so that that thing is set. What you say, the muscle memory. Today morning you were talking about it. It was like music to my ear, literally and metaphorically both. When you were talking in the morning, Sushruti ji, about how acharyas used to teach and practice brought all those aspects in the muscle memory of the student, the fractions part that you were talking about, and how you would have to the alapa or the the create whatever you create in that raga within the 8 or 16 or 32 or so all those aspects. That's why we tried whatever possible we are doing in Guru Shishya Parampara at Vidyakshetra, in all these subjects that we are doing. So when you do this from childhood, just now I got one answer that after 18 years, when we introduce agriculture to the child, if the child is not, from childhood, if that fingers have not gone in the mud, at 18, it's very tough to bring that, affinity or that relationship. And unfortunately, our children don't want to study. I have been with the students and teachers and parents of Vidyakshetra to Odisha and to some more places. And what I see is that next generation is not taking to this. Our biggest challenge is next generation, how they should take to our Shastriya Kalas and, Vidyas in our country. And that is the challenge our Sangeeta teacher also faces. He comes from Gwalior Kirana Gharana, and he tells that today the whole music thing is also being boxed in a way that how many ragas in an year, how many alapas, and teachers write the alapas and give to the students. So what he says is, I am not preparing students kantha alone. I am preparing their ear, because the samaja needs Shastriya Sangeet. The ear is very important to be made, and then out of these some students will go forward to become a musicians, and that's the bhavana each teacher should have. So this is some work of 12 and 13-year-old students. We saw, if you go to Sandipani Muni Ashram, you will see that the patterns, rangolis and all these things, were taught here also. Can you... Just a 2-minute video, sorry, the embedded video is not playing on that computer, so we have to play separately. That's a Bhagavad Gita class. These are earthworms in the hand of the students. Thank you. Thank you. So now, since it is established that what is happening in Bangalore, I will just take you to the frameworks that we have been using and spend a little time understanding why these kalas were taught in our Gurukulas traditionally. So when we see that the Annamaya Kosh, the Anandamaya, the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya Koshas, 5 Koshas, while each and every moment we are working or doing any activity, all the Koshas get affected. From the Garbha of the mother, it gets affected. But yet, based on the age, there are certain Koshas that take more focus than the others. For example, when you are in Shishu Avastha, why, yesterday Srinivasji told that 7 years after Upanayana only students used to go to the Gurukula. What is the reason? And I'm pretty sure every forum where I speak, some of the people, when I ask this question, they tell that their admission happened because in this manner. Have your tooth fallen? Or can you cover your ear over your head? Is there anybody whose admission has happened with this method in this audience over here? Okay, less number, maybe that's the reason. But otherwise, in every forum, there are at least 3-4 hands that go up. So there is a very fundamental reasons behind it. So we need to understand why after Upanayana only admission used to happen, and Upanayana used to happen after 7 years. It was not happening before. So the basic and fundamental reason behind it is your patra in which you have to receive knowledge is still not ready. So you stay with your parents, you stay at your home, in your joint family or whatever the large families were there, and you learn in that environment. When the patra is ready is when you come. Because when the child takes birth from the womb of the mother, all the organs inside are still developing. In fact, that the first time the child breathes is at the time of the birth. And 6 months it takes for the intestines to set up. It takes some more time for the lungs to develop completely. So all these organs which are there inside the body, it requires certain amount of time. And the falling of the tooth, why does the tooth need to fall? Why? See the beauty in creation of God, how precisely each and everything has been thought through. Do you know how does an elephant die? Anybody knows here, how does an elephant die? Elephant dies out of hunger. It gets 12 times its teeth, which are there to eat. And after 12th time, they don't get their teeth back. So usually the age of elephant is 80 years, and then it dies after that, out of hunger, because it's no more able to eat. So each and every detail in creation has happened with a precise, understanding of why. So why does, why is there a need for the tooth to fall? Actually, it's a symbolic, it's a symbol of now you can actually start receiving knowledge from outside, and your hand is able to cover your ear over the head only when your tooth. You see, these all things they coincide at the age of 6 or 7. And that is when the Upanayan Samskara used to happen, and the Shiksha Arambha Samskar also used to happen along with it, that now you can start getting the education. So that is where we have to understand that for 7 years, the child used to learn at home. Why so many samskaras happened during the Shishu Avastha? Out of 16 samskaras, almost 9 samskaras happen before the Upanayana, before, during your Shishu Avastha. Why? Yeah, because mana is not sakriya. Man, as per Panchakosha, is sakriya at the age of 12. Viveka at the age of 16. If things have gone well. So, because man, what is the role of man? It is in Dvandva, not Dvaita. It is in Dvandva. So it takes, it leaves. It's a filter. It's a filter. So the moment filter is there, certain things will go and certain things will not go. But when man is not sakriya, everything goes inside. It's very simple to understand. And the impressions that one gets directly gets onto the chitta. That's why during the childhood, most of the samskaras, in fact, some samskaras happen even before birth in Garbha. Because the soul is there. So these were the reasons in our society why, the home environment where Mata Prathamo Guru Pita Dvitiya, this importance was given to the mother and the father. Now, so what is the role during the first Shishu Avastha? Unfortunately, हमने अपनी society ऐसी, I will just switch between Hindi and English. We have made a society like this where we need to have kindergartens now starting at 6 months. Daycare centers are starting at 6 months of age. But that's very unfortunate. Actually, it's a failure of a society that there are kindergartens. You don't need early education before the tooth has fallen. That was our pedagogy traditionally. So at Vidyakshetra, we tend to replicate the home environment in our Shishu Vatika. So there is no alphabets, no numbers, nothing taught in Gurukula at Vidyakshetra. 4 years is when students join. We teach them through stories. We teach them through play. We teach them through nature walks. We teach them through doing things. They do finger knitting. They do painting. Like that, they cook at Vidyakshetra in their environment. See, what are the basic needs of a Shishu? Basic needs of the Shishu is the organs are developing, let them develop properly. The moment you make the child sit on a table and a chair, there is no physical movement happening anymore. Ours, young Shishu Avastha children are sitting on a table and a chair and studying in kindergarten also. Alphabets, and numbers, and then giving examinations or grades, So it's very important for their organs to develop. They need to run around. That's the best exercise. So play is the best exercise. What's the other most important thing for a child? It is sleep. It's sleep. So इसीलिए आप देखेंगे ahar, nidra, bhay and methun, which comes in pranamaya kosha. The house of these four are in pranamaya kosha. The ahara and nidra binds with the annamaya kosha, and the bhay and methun binds with the manomaya kosha. From these four. So ahara and nidra is basically the glue for the pranamaya kosha and manomaya kosha for the child. We need to focus on their play, we need to focus on their sleep, and we need to focus on their food. These are the basic 3 things that a child needs. So that is what we focus on with the parents and with the children at Vidyakshetra. So that their organs, there was a report recently in the newspaper that in Bangalore, 56% of people in Bangalore use less than 50% of their lung space. So no wonder, so many breathing related disorders will happen. If our children don't play, they all play, but only with their fingers and video games. And basketball, they will go to the basketball court, talk about football players, but not play football. They will talk about, what is that? NBA. And, all those, they know all the names of the teams, but they will not play. And if you don't, you will see the breathing disorders are linked with the skin disorders. Anybody here from the doctor Ayurveda background? Generally, these two come hand in hand. The breathing disorders and the skin disorders. Because if you have not sufficiently sweat, if you have not played sufficiently, or you have not run sufficiently, you have not sweat sufficiently, and because of lack of sweating, the skin disorders are aplenty. So the Annamaya Kosha, it mainly focuses on the physical body part. In Bal Avastha is where, the 6 to 12 years is where the Pranamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha takes Pradhanata. While all the koshas are working in parallel, the Mana and Buddhi, the Kishora Avastha, the 12 to 16 years, and the Yuva Avastha is Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. I will just share what I mean by that. And when I say all the 4 dimensions of curriculum, pedagogy, parent engagement, and infrastructure needs to address this need. So what is Annamaya Kosha? I have already spoken about it. Sharir, food, khana, khelna or nidra. This is just the framework that we use. I will not spend time on this. So on all the 4 dimensions, what it means, when we say we are engaging with parents, these are the areas where we engage with the parents. So we speak with them, we have regular sessions on what is their home rhythm, what are the festivals that they're celebrating, what is the Parivar Parampara, what are the parents, so many parents had left Sandhya Vandanam at home. So we had to speak with them, go to their home, talk it out with their grandparents, with their parents, and then it's very heartening to see that many of these parents have started doing their paramparas, what were there, the anushtanas of their family. No media, loving relationships. So these are the parent engagement dimensions. Likewise, pedagogical aspects, curriculum aspects, and the infrastructure aspects. No sitting on the table and the chair. On the floor is very, very important principle. Coming to Pranamaya Kosha, so we have to understand that there are certain systems that our body has inside. Now, physical body is not just from outside what we are seeing is one aspect, but there are many things going inside. Now, what do we do with them? What do we do with them? And that is where the whole approach. Why there was, Krida, why there was Shastra Vidyas, why there was Yoga in our Gurukulams, why there were physical activities in our Gurukulam, why there were Kalas in our Gurukulam, because this was very, very important to implement. I am getting very attracted, I would say not distracted to the scores in the cricket commentary which is coming from the room. So, I played cricket for 22 years myself. So we have to see when we are talking about the karmendriyas and the gyanendriyas, I will just jump to the Manomaya Kosha. One important principle I would like to bring, which will communicate the importance of doing this work in Pranamaya Kosha. In Manomaya Kosha, there is the house for Shad Ripus, the Kama, Krodha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya and Lobha. Now in Pranamaya Kosha, we have Maithun. Maithun means procreation. Yeah? And in Manomaya Kosha, we have Kama, which means attraction towards, desires, what we have. Such a beautiful creation where otherwise, why would somebody procreate if there is no desire? But then, there is in Vijnanamaya Kosha given a possibility to control it. Niyaman mein lane ke liye. And in Anandamaya Kosha to convert it into prema. That kama, how you convert it into prema, this is a beautiful Kosha framework. And the method given in our Samskriti was kalas. How? There is no other way. You cannot. If you have to transcend or you have to convert this element of Maithun to Kama to, Prema, there is no other medium better than, Kalas. And that is the reason why in our pedagogical frameworks, traditionally, so much importance was given to Kalas. Not just, theek hai, padha do. So more important was that, 14 Vidyas, what Krishna was learning. No. Equal importance was given to all these subject matter. Because that is where you can experience that you convert that feeling, that kama, into, bhakti, into prema, into ananda, into, the pramoda and the moda, which are the 2 wings of the bird that Lalita ji was talking about. In Anandamaya Kosha, the Taittiriya Upanishad mentions that what are the two wings of this bird? It's Moda and Pramoda. What is the head? Prema. So this understanding of how the pedagogy was related to the subjects and why that kala was happening there at first place. That was the sthana given to. So I will just come back to the. Now, what can a child do if the kushagrata itself is not there in the hands? Our fingers need to be prepared, and when the child is not introduced to stitching or weaving or pottery or agriculture or painting or even the vadya, and then we expect that the mana wants to do kala, but the body is not supporting. So you have to, from childhood, introduce these subjects to children so that they are prepared from a very early age. It's very simple to understand points, But what we do in our society, many adults, because they wanted to do something, they start then learning at a very late age, which is appreciable. But kalas don't go further in that manner. You need, one lifetime is short to serve any one of these activities that is in front of us. And I'm talking maths also as a kala only. For teachers who teach maths and science, holistically, they will understand that the same rasa is experienced, one who is teaching music or one who is teaching, painting. So that is why when we are talking about the karana, ज्ञानार्जन के जो करण हैं, हमारे जो कर्मेंद्रियां हैं और ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं, उनको तैयार करना है ना. How do we make them ready? We make them ready when we do things with them from childhood. When you actually bring to them colors, when you actually make them stitch, when you... I will take one more example. So many parents I see when they talk to their child, focus karo, dhyan se karo. For a child, it's a very empty word. What does focus mean? For a 5-year or a 6-year-old child. Kya hota hai? Focus kya hota hai? But when the child actually makes his or her own, geometry box or his or her own pencil pouch with knitting, that is what focus means. When the child completes that whole activity over a month, that is what patience means. That it is not instant gratification. मेरे को एक अभी चाहिए, अभी चाहिए. Today, how many students have that level of patience? Very few. So, by doing, it's again a very important pedagogical principle that was followed in our country. First is always in kriya. Always in kriya. Because when we do it in kriya, our intellect doesn't interfere. Yeah? Do it. And that's why, so many of the acharyas who were speaking since last 3 days, they say, pehle aap baith ke karo. Bas, karo. So once you start doing, you continue to do, it goes into your body. It goes inside. And you start relating with that subject matter. Then, many answers are automatically received. So kriya में पहले आना है, feeling में बाद में आना है और head में third. इसीलिए जो हमारे आजकल क्या हो रहा है कि when we are introducing children to यहाँ पर मैंने इसमें है या next point में है, we are seeing that there is an early onset of puberty in children. One of the biggest reason is we are awakening our children very soon. They should be in their feeling realm, because the moment mana is sakriya, which is around 12 years, that is when the intellectual knowledge starts to start coming in. That's when the cause and the effect, the aspects start coming in. The students start asking questions to their parents. The students, their children, they start questioning their teachers. Questioning, when I'm saying it is like rebellious point, why I should listen to you only? Why should... So why that happens around 12, 13, 14, teenage हम बोलते हैं ना? Because the man has started becoming sakriya at that time. Before that, it's the best time to, address the feeling realm. Le lo, just soak in everything. Practice, practice, practice. Because when Manomay Kosh is sakriya and Vijnanamay Kosh is still not developed, this muscle memory is going to help you sail through. If your muscle memory is not ready when you are a child, and your mana is already, questioning or objecting, or, not open to certain things, Viveka has not set in still, because that is going to come 3-4 years later. It becomes a very difficult task for parents and teachers to manage that 4 years with the students. Have you experienced over here? Yes, a very strong yes. This is the explanation behind it. We have to understand why it is happening, because there is a 4-year gap. Now, for some adults also, somebody told today, I think Sushruti ji only told that, there are some 40-year-old also who are like children only. If Viveka has not developed, it has not developed. So, so you can deal with 40-year-old also like a student only. So these are some aspects that are there. There is a lot of details here. You need to develop ekagrata. Then there are swad sayyam, vani sayyam, arth sayyam, samay sayyam. These are all the things which, the discipline, the internal discipline that the student needs to build. And we need to consciously work with the child on that. How many schools or parents are working with the child on these things today? Where, so many children, I don't like to eat this, I don't like to eat that, I don't want to eat, tomatoes, no. And Vidyakshetra also, we find children, when we serve lunch there. So some children, very smart, they would take the tomatoes under the plate and will be, so we also have some experience now. So we catch hold of them, and then, so, Vani Sahyam, Dhyana, Spashta Ucharana, Shanti se Baithna. To sit in one place, your Ucharana. So Sanskrit from childhood, has to be part of the Kanthasthikarana part. Likewise, Artha Sayyam, understanding, what is, so we have, I have some examples of how, maths and, I'm aware of time, and 10, 15, okay. So, let me quickly jump to the main course, Manomay Kosh. Not a main course in the sense, but a very, very important, but it is an art, for an Acharya. And that is why when somebody was talking about the Guru Shishya Parampara today, that, the critical thinking part, I would say the whole relationship between the Acharya and the student, this is the crux of, because Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maithunam, Bhumi apo nala vayu kham manor buddhi revacha ahankara ityame bhinna prakriti ashtada. So when Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that Bhumi apo nala vayu and kham, these are the 5 pancha mahabhutas. Also we have to understand that our bahikaranas are made with them. And the antahakarana, Chatushtaya, what we were talking about, the man, buddhi, ahankar and chitta, they all are part of Prakriti only. Bhinna Prakritir Ashtada. So this is what is the glue between the subtle and the gross. And that is where, the focus has to go in. Because its nature is Dvandvatmak. वो इच्छा करता है, कामना करता है, and Vivek is what tells that, not to do asakti. Dhyayato vishayan pumsam sangasteshu pajayate. We know that from Bhagavad Gita. I won't go again in that. So very, very important to understand that, man is a very, very powerful element in the whole educational framework. And how do we, some examples of subject I will take. So when we teach mathematics, kalas I have already taken. See, when you are doing nritya, the amount of control that you need on your body, and when you are doing singing, the amount of precision that you need, it automatically starts bringing, a lot of these elements that are needed to control the mind inside you. But there is also the viveka that has to be developed to control the mind. Now that has to be integrated in the curriculum. Many people when I meet they say, हाँ हम लोग moral science का class लेते हैं, values का class लेते हैं. ऐसा नहीं होता है. हर चीज़ के साथ values और moral science बच्चा लेता है. I will take an example. When we do business maths, we go to we work with the child on what is artha and what is anartha. So students list down these activities. Then once that understanding, what is the value and what is cost? So for example, if I have a glass and I say, what is the value of this glass? Most of the children will say 50 rupees, 30 rupees. That's the cost of the glass. But if you use the same glass to give water to 1,000 thirsty people, what is the value? So that fundamental difference between value and cost has to set in, which is also, we experience everywhere around us today. I pay electricity bill, why can't I use more electricity? So that's again the confusion between value and the cost. Carbon offsetting in aeroplanes is again a confusion between value and the cost. Similarly, so we discuss with students on need and greed. We discuss with them on what can be bought, what cannot be bought. Another example I will take is of zoology, where students are taught about the ants, there are 4 types of ants which we see in Vidyakshetra campus. They study honeybees, because we have honeybees over there. They study snakes. We have held 6 types of snakes in the hand. We have seen 16 types overall. There are many venomous ones also which we have studied about. Then about the birds that are there around. When students are studying botany, they go to the lakes around Vidyakshetra and study the overall type of plants in the lake and in the campus over there. There are more than 150 varieties of plants. So like that is our curriculum that we have built. I will take one example of science so that it's clear. All of us would have done thermal energy experiments. So we do one experiment with students. In 2 beakers we put ice. One beaker is full of ice, the other beaker is full of boiling water. The moment you drop an ink in these jars, the ink in the boiling water mixes very quickly, whereas the ink in the ice jar takes hours to mix. In fact, it takes 20 minutes to even come down 1 inch. So this is the Vyavahara part of the whole thing. When you say any science lesson plan has to have Vyashti, Samashti, Srishti and Parmeshti, all 4 elements, and Vyavahar and Paramartha element, which was our pedagogy. So the lesson plan is made like that. But today what we teach children is that the molecular movement is very rapid in the boiling water, so the ink mixes very quickly, whereas it's very less and slow. That's why the ink doesn't mix so quickly in the ice jar. So it is okay, but it's very partial. We have just stuck to the Vyavahara and not the Paramartha part of the whole thing. So when we talk about the spirit part, we have to understand, we see this in the Prakriti also, and Mana is the part of the Prakriti. Where do we see this? So students, this is Samvada which is happening after this lesson has happened, and students list down that we see that there are warm people and cold people. It's easy to mix with warm people, and it's tough to mix with cold people. And then you list down the warm qualities and the cold qualities that you see in your own Vyavahara or you see around. And then discussions happen on these qualities. And then students after 2-3 days arrive at a conclusion that it's good to be a warm person and bad to be a cold person. And then you bring out from Ramayana and Mahabharata examples of cold, you can say decisions that people take. So surgeon needs to be warm or cold? A soldier needs to be warm or cold? So then students arrive at the Dvandva part is, reduced, where they understand that both are needed. And how, a balance is very, very important in our character and in our behavior or in our inside space. So like that, photosynthesis, we have studied photosynthesis, it's water, it is sun, it is, food making and all. But we don't teach when photosynthesis doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in winter, and autumn the leaves shed themselves. The same leaves which are producing food because they want to serve the tree, otherwise the tree would die in winter. So this example in Seva is the spirit behind the photosynthesis lesson. So that's the curriculum that we have created in last 12 years. So I would just Yeah, so this is just to show that, when the subjects are introduced and Ichha, Kriya and Jnana, what is achieved when we do this. This is 16 to 21 years framework which we have. So now our desire is to see if this model can be replicated across the country. We don't want to have it under Vidyakshetra name. It's not, it should not be like that. But we are ready to, when we started this journey 12 years ago, we didn't have any curriculum or pedagogical support, but today we have the entire curriculum and methodology which is there. So if anybody wants to come forward and start this type of a Gurukulam in their own place, most welcome to do so. This is a day Gurukulam model. The only few conditions are like we don't charge fees. It runs completely on Dhan and Dakshina. From last 8 years, it has been running like that. We don't have examinations. We don't have textbooks. So it is taught in a Guru Shishya Parampara through the Anubhava and the experience or the Anubhutis of the Acharyas who are there. There are many more details that we follow. Maybe at some other time I would be sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Muneet ji. And please stay on the stage. We would like to honor you. Please.
Thank you.
Just one more look. You already had it, but I